2022 at 1:15 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Let's pause briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge of the flags, Stephen Nash.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Reagan, there's no one called in for public comments. Anyone in the audience for public comments? Seeing none, we'll go to items D, under acceptance of county department head and staff department reports and updates. There's 31 pages of the reports here, and I appreciate all the department heads for sending those out early and give us a chance to review those so we can kind of expedite this process. One of the things I want to point out to all department heads that give reports that if there's anything that they see that the Commissioners Court can help them with, please bring that up. Any challenges that you have that you think we may not be aware of. And so that's one of the bigger purposes of having department head reports. The reports look to me like they're very well thought through and thorough. And we will look at those. Please make your comments brief, and then be prepared to answer any questions that the commissioners might have for you. So, Dustin, I know we talked about some order changes, and so if you want to carry us through that.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Judge, is Judge Bain in the courtroom?
He's not yet. I'll let you know when he gets here.
All right. Well, Judge, we have a few items H1 is an item for Jared. I see Jared's online. If we could start there,
Okay,
and I'll go to H1s regarding the May 7th, 2022 joint general election, authorization of notice of joint general election. I'd like to call on Jared.
Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, commissioners. Yeah, this is just to authorize the notice of election for the upcoming May 7th, 2022 joint general election. This is the city and school election. This also has the special election for the state constitutional amendments that are going to be on the ballot, which is why we're having to do the notice. As a reminder, the notice is something that all of the entities who are holding an election will be signing, and it's something that we're going to be posting in the newspaper to let the general public know that there will be an election that's going to be held. And if you have any questions, let me know.
questions, anyone? All right, Dustin, we need to take notice of that.
Yes, sir. This is an action item.
Okay, is there a motion to approve his report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Judge, we do actually need to approve that notice of general election.
Okay, all right, is there a motion to approve the notice for general election?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
H2 is regarding the McLennan County Radio Tower Project, multiple site expansion to existing simulcast communication system, update from project consultant. I'd like to call on Frank Patterson.
Thank you, Justin.
Morning, Frank.
Okay, so real quick, this is a relatively short update, but we got a lot of information. Towers 1 and 2, are completed. They're functioning properly. Tower 4 is built, still waiting on the generator in the building and the microwave equipment to come in for that project. I'm going to talk about microwave equipment just real quick. The companies, just like the generator companies, just like the shelter companies, supply chain issues. Originally, the building and generator were supposed to have been in March. Now it's been pushed to April. Just with supply chain issues. It's the same issues we have with the microwave, which is the backhaul system, which actually connects the radio towers together. We've been also trying to get a updated quote from them for several weeks, and they assure me that we will have that by this Friday. And so we will have an idea. The goal is that we would go ahead and just buy all of the equipment we need for the remaining towers for the backhaul, so we have it on site, so we won't have these delays in supply chain issues. Kind of like we did with the radio equipment, bought it, staged it, and then it's here, it's ready to go. So hopefully that'll alleviate some of that. The Will Jones Precinct Tower site, that's what is being built by the state. As of yesterday, the projected timeline is early fourth quarter of this year. DPS was still waiting for funding confirmation as of yesterday from the budget office. But as soon as they get that, then it will be put on the street. It will be the same height as all of our other towers, which is 300 foot. So we're looking at the fourth quarter of that one. So that's probably going to be the last tower site to come online. Kind of hedging here a little bit with the relocation of the Heart of Texas Tower. That was not part of the original scope. That was actually a windfall for us because, we were able to apply for a grant and receive a grant through the Heart of Texas Council of Government to build that tower and actually relocate the Heart of Texas Tower. The agreement's been done between the city of Woodway, I believe it has been completed, I guess, or going to be completed today with the city of Woodway and the county for the property. The RFP for that is on the street. That is being managed by the Heart of Texas Council of Government since the grant was through them. It was issued on March the 22nd. The tentative scheduled site visit meeting is April the 1st, and all proposals are to be back to the Council of Governments by April 18th. We have received some questions from vendors, which we've been answering, and actually Tim Jeske has been doing a very good job of managing that from the hot dog side, answering the questions, and we've been working with all of our partners, John Shrunk, Ken Bass, and myself, to get the answers. as needed. So in short, that's kind of where we are in the process. We have been working with the city of Waco, and I don't know if y'all are familiar with this, but they did hire a new several months back now. He's been in place, Scott Johnson, with the city of Waco radio shop. He has some ideas coming in, so we worked with him the best we could to try to integrate some of those and see how that would function. Right now, we were actually trying he wanted to help them do some reconfiguring. Of course, that would have been paid by the city of Waco. Right now, it doesn't look like they're going to get the funding to do that, so we're going to proceed as we are with our current plan. And at some point in time, if the city gets their funding, then we can revisit some of their ideas. But currently, that's where we stand. The next part of this, besides the tower build and kind of going off the script a little bit, is working with all of our agencies, which the long-term goal of all this was to get our local police, fire, and EMS services under or on one system. So it's easier for communication between all different agencies in any kind of large event. And so as you've seen all these wildfires, you have these multiple agencies. It really would be nice for everybody to be on the same platform, communicate. So that's really the next phase of this. Once we get the towers up and running, then to begin a migration process or work with those local volunteer fire departments and EMS providers, those kind of things, to bring them back, bring them on the same system. So we have better interoperability throughout the county and also improve those connectivity issues that we've struggled with in the past. So at this point, I'll entertain any questions.
Okay, any questions anyone would have? All right. And Dustin, I think you mentioned, if maybe Frank did, that Woodway City Council did approve their side of it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct. And then, Judge, after we approve Frank's report, we can go to the memorandum of agreement and the ground lease agreement with the city of Woodway while we have Frank and also Mike on the line, if that's okay.
Yes. Okay. If there are any other questions? If there's not, is there a motion to approve Frank's update?
Motion to approve H2.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right, moving on to item G under contracts and interlocal agreements. G1 is authorization of memorandum of agreement with City of Woodway for emergency communications tower. G2 is authorization of ground lease agreement with City of Woodway for the emergency communications tower. As Frank discussed, looking at relocating the Heart of Texas Tower through that HOTCOG grant. G1 is a memorandum of agreement with the City of Woodway that basically just puts the general outline and the responsibilities for each party moving forward with the tower project. G2 is the actual ground lease. The city currently has a tower that is leased to Verizon right now. That tower will be torn down, and after this new tower is erected, the city has property at a sufficient elevation that will help resolve many of the coverage issues that we see both countywide and also within the city of Woodway and Waco and others. This would be a long-term lease of that property for us to be able to erect this public safety radio communications tower. Mike, did you want to go over any of the details?
If you're talking, you're on mute.
It's essentially an 80-year lease. By the end of 80 years, people are going to say, what was a radio tower? So it'll get us through. It was approved unanimously at the council meeting last night. And we're ready to go.
Okay. Any questions anyone have? All right. Is there a motion to approve the agreement with the City of Woodway?
So moved.
Is there a
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right.
All right, thank you. And if we could go to G3, I believe Andy and Steve are in court. It's authorization of software as a service agreement with Tyler Technologies for records management system for the county clerk.
Wants to come up?
Morning.
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 I'm just here to say hi. I hadn't seen you all in a while.
Yeah.
I've got Jordan Hanaway with me. He's my
Hi,
lead
George.
deputy, and Steve Couch, my chief deputy.
Oh, Steve. Morning.
Morning, folks.
Questions
Morning.
if y'all have.
Y'all have any questions? You want just a quick synopsis?
Quick synopsis.
Okay. This is a renewal agreement for our records management system with Tyler Technologies. We've been with this company for 9 years, since 2013. Been very pleased with the product, and so it's time to renew. This contract or agreement will be for 5 years. It includes, and all of our new hardware equipment is included in the fee. And the annual fee will be $112,224. And the only difference is that the servers are now going to be hosted with Tyler in their processing center versus in our IT department. So that's really the only physical change. So there's more continuity of operations. We don't have, if our servers go down now, we don't operate.
Right.
So within their facility, they can just switch us to another bank of servers, so we can continue operating without any interruption. And it's going to require a little change in how we process our credit card transactions for the public over that. So there will be another credit card company agreement coming through possibly on the next court meeting for this. The agreement has been reviewed by Dustin and I believe Mike Dixon. They had some input. The changes have been incorporated, and I think everyone is okay with it as it stands now.
Okay.
IT, Lisa looked over it, and
Yes.
also Ken, we appreciate their help.
Absolutely,
All
And
right.
it's paid entirely out of our records management.
absolutely.
Any questions anyone have? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve G3.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Pass. Thank y'all for coming over.
Thank you, folks.
Sure
Good seeing
appreciate
you.
y'all. Thanks for taking this.
All right, Judge, we can move back to the start at D, acceptance of county department head staff departmental reports. D1 is juvenile probation monthly activity reports, November 2021 to February 2022. And Colin will not be in court today, Judge.
Okay, I've reviewed the report. It's, standard from previous reports. The question I always ask him when he's here is, does he see anything that's different or any trends that are concerning and those kind of things? And so I'll ask him that later, and if there is, we'll report back to court. But otherwise, I would make a motion, we approve this report for recording purposes.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass.
D2 is engineering monthly activity reports, December 2021 to March 2022. Zane?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I wanted to be here in person today to kind of go over a few highlights of the report and bring to your attention an item that I'm requesting help on for the next Commissioners Court meeting. The first item I want to go over just to bring your attention to is road project, Spiegelville Road. It's been completed. It's been completed successfully. Next Tuesday, when y'all meet, we'll have the warranty documents here for approval and to put into action. So they'll be warranted for 1 year. There is some guardrail damage out there that's being repaired, but that's not due to the contractor. That's just due to somebody that lost control of their vehicle. But it's being repaired. Chapel Road, another large project. Utilities are currently being relocated, so it'll take them quite a while to relocate, the electrical and communication lines and all that kind of stuff. So we're hoping to bid for that and bid construction in late 2023.
And that right-of-way cost of acquisition, is that $8,800 or is that $8,800,000?
The estimated, the full project acquiring right of way and the construction of the project will be $8 million.
Okay,
$8 to $9 million.
thought that was just right-of-way.
Oh, no, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
All right.
There if it was.
Yeah.
It is expensive. Right away is expensive. The only other project I wanted to bring to your attention is, besides the North Crooked Creek Road Bridge being closed, we also now have the Thompson Road Bridge being closed, and that's in precinct 2, and it's due to one of the double T bridge slabs having damage on the bottom side because of overloading. So we are currently working with a bridge manufacturer to try to manufacture that bridge slab dimensions that are no longer, that type of bridge slab is no longer made. So we're working with them to see if they can make one that will work for us. So we'll get that back in operation as soon as possible. So the item that I wanted to talk about is next Tuesday, I want to bring an item for your review and approval to grant the county engineer the authority to make change orders when we are working on a construction project. Local Government Code, Chapter 262.031, allows the court to grant the authority to an employee, like the county engineer, to increase or decrease a construction contract, or I guess any contract that they're working on, up to the amount of $50,000. They can go up to 25% of the contract, or less, or decrease it down to 18% with the consent of the contractor. So with the amount of low water crossings, bridge projects, and other roadway projects going on, I would respectfully request that authority. And that'll be coming to you for consideration next Tuesday.
So an example would be like when you started construction, there was some condition that became apparent, it wasn't apparent before, and it's gonna cost a little extra money. Instead of waiting to come back to the court, then we give you the authority to go ahead and make it.
That's correct. In precinct 3, and I've already spoken to Commissioner Jones about this, we're working on the low water crossing out there on Tawakona Creek, County Line Road South, and it became apparent that we needed to extend the limits of the project, both ends of the road, with the concrete road and concrete sides of the road. And so that was around $50,000. In this situation, it was actually $53,000 or $54,000, so it wouldn't apply to this. But in the future, if it was $50,000 or less, then I could just say, while you've got your equipment out here, yes, continue extending the limits, additional so many feet. And that way he doesn't have to demobilize and remobilize, and that costs us even more, and we lose money there. So we can put more of the money towards the project, and it's more efficient.
Okay.
And I don't know that I've seen y'all as busy as you are right now in my time on the court. And so anything that we can do to be more efficient, as you see work increase, I'm all in favor of that. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you.
I certainly see that the situation could come up where if you had to wait and they were finished, they had to pull their equipment off and then bring it back again, that it could end up costing the county more money. And also situations that came up that we didn't need to wait 2 weeks to do something for the court to act, that it needed to be done yesterday. And so I think those are very important, and I agree that that's something that we definitely need to consider.
That'll be something brought forward
Next Tuesday, yes, sir.
All right, in regards to your report, are there other things on the report you want to point out?
No, sir. My report has been provided to you. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have about it. Otherwise, I recommend it for approval.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Zane?
I
If
just
not, oh,
appreciate, I do want to say this, as I do appreciate the work that you guys are doing right now.
Thank you.
It's getting
busy.
It's getting busy, and you guys, we appreciate how you work closely with our road and bridge guys, because we do have a lot going on.
Thank you.
Deal. Any other questions or comments? If not, is there a motion to approve the report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zane.
Item D3, maintenance of equipment, monthly activity report, November 2021 to February 2022. I'd like to call on Michael Grant.
Morning, Michael.
Morning, how are y'all?
Fine.
Good.
Just to give you a quick recap of the report, the electronic technician guys stayed pretty busy with repairs in the jail and working on vehicles and with radios and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to cover the radio tower project again. Frank covered that thoroughly. Sign shop staying busy. Doing anywhere from 50 to 80 signs a month on average. getting a lot of signs out for the road and bridge precincts. They're finding a lot of them that are coming up missing mysteriously. So we're getting those turned out. And then vehicle maintenance, staying pretty busy there. In February, we saw a pretty good increase of outside labor cost up to 19,000. That was related mostly to 2 transmissions. And then we had some body work done there as well in February. That's why that cost is so much higher there. The only thing we're seeing, want to bring the court's attention with budget coming up, we're seeing about a 26% cost increase across the board on repair and maintenance cost. So with everything going on, it's just something we need to keep in mind.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions for Michael? All right, if there's no questions, is there a motion to approve his report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you. Thank you.
D4, County Veteran Service Office, monthly activity report, October through December 2021. Steve?
Morning, Steve.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing, sir? Ma'am. We seem to be doing everything. We're opening back up. Have been pretty active with the Congressman's office as well as Doc Anderson's office. We are now getting with the VA to coordinate a family focus on veterans who now have returned, reintegrated, are still having some issues, which some of those never end. And we're working more with the VA on trying to get the family to come to the community-based one-stop for therapy as well. So that's a new endeavor that we're taking on. Also, we have a new program manager, and we're trying to get some outside activities coordinated with the one-stop, such as a fishing tournament, and possibly go bowling, just do some outside activities to try to get it for more of a therapeutic standpoint. Working again now with TVC, with employment services, we're trying to reestablish the conduit that we once had with Fort Hood and trying to attract any separatees or any dischargees to come to Waco to take advantage of what we're offering from our industries. I guess the other thing is we are working also with the City of Waco to establish what they have considered to be a municipal Veterans Affairs Committee, and we've been invited to participate in that focus. So we're just, like I said, other than of course claims and all the different variations of claims, we're trying to get back out there and trying to get everything reestablished.
Okay, good. Any questions for Steve? If not, is there a motion to approve Steve's report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second?
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Pass. Thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Dustin, Judge Bain is in court right now, so Judge, if you'll come up to the,
And Judge, this is under D7, pretrial services, monthly activity reports, November 2021 to February 2022.
okay. Good morning.
Good morning. Basically, on the report, it's pretty much the same as it is every month or every quarter. Don't really have much to add to it. But that's not the main purpose that I want to speak to you about today.
Okay.
I needed to talk to you about, and I don't know if you've heard about it, but what's called Senate Bill 6 and the public safety report system that's going into effect in the state of Texas.
Yes.
That public safety report system is supposed to go online April the 1st. I don't know if they are saying lately that the vendor that it may not be completely online by that time. But what kind of give you an idea, there's not really a whole lot of good explanations out there, but from what the OCA, Office of Court Administration, has on it, is that, of course, it involves, Senate Bill 6 involves bail and taking bail and releasing people on bail and those sorts of things, but it also required the OCA to implement a standardized public safety report system for statewide use. The bill also requires the OCA to provide access to the system to appropriate officials in each county and each municipality that performs magistration, and this is the amazing part, at no cost. The bill also requires magistrate to set bail to consider the public, requires the magistrate to consider the public safety report system in setting bail now. And this report will have such things as a summary of the person's criminal history. Among other things, it's supposed to pull failures to appear and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how well it's going to be able to pull failures to appear, but that's what it's supposed to do. And various other things that the judge has to consider in setting bail now. And this company called Automon is out of Arizona, is the one that's setting all this up. And like I said, it's supposed to be implemented by April the 1st. My concerns that I have, of course, we don't know what exactly is going to happen yet on April the 1st, but some of my concerns is the length of time this is going to add to the magistration process. At this point, the jail is stating that they will enter the arrest into the system, that they'll do that. I mean, we cannot require the sheriff's office to do that, but at this point they say that they will. And hopefully also run the criminal history so that the public safety report can be prepared. They were thinking it'd be better for them to do it in all these different courts and all these different magistrates trying to figure out how to do that. Of course, all of us are having to get training, TLETS training, all this other kind of training, because we're viewing criminal histories, and you have to take all those trainings. And
All of us meaning who?
judges that are going to be looking at criminal history in order to say, anybody that's setting
You set a
bail.
bond, yeah.
Anybody that sets a bail.
And the benefit, or I guess the purpose is so you can get the whole history of this individual
It's
and their
supposed,
interaction with
it's supposed to pull,
Okay.
not just statewide, but nationally, from other states and all of that. So
and it could affect your judgment on what kind of conditions you set.
that's part of it, right? And trying to give an informed, so you can make a more informed.
So that's the good part,
Yeah.
in my opinion. So
Yes.
what's the bad part?
Well, then after you prepare all that, there has to be a bond form prepared, and then that sets out, you have to the judge has to certify, or somebody for him has to certify that these things were all done, that the report was reviewed, and enter the information in there about any conditions of bond that were added, like just stay away from the victim, or have a breath interlock installed on a DWI case, or whatever kind of conditions of the bond were added on. All that has to be entered. And then all of that report goes to the OCA, who's supposed to keep records on how many of whatever
Right.
is being
Yeah.
done.
So the process is gonna be slowed.
Yes, quite a bit.
So what percentage do you think? And I've got a reason for asking the.
And that, until we actually start doing it, I don't really know how much time it's going to add to all of this. I typically do jail arraignments in the morning and then in the afternoon. I don't know, depending upon how long this takes, I may only do it once if it takes, quite a lengthy period of time.
Is there, you say April 1st is the projected date. Is there a deadline as when you have to be active on this? Can you wait and let some of the bugs get worked out before you become active on this?
Well,
Or is it
it
immediate?
says we're supposed to use it on April 1, but I don't know.
Because I think your biggest headache's gonna be in the first 2 months or first month.
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Now, the OCA has been having question and answering sessions constantly while this is being prepared, and courts and judges and people that are, staff that are going to be using this, of course, they bring up all kinds of questions that they hadn't thought of. So we'll have to try to figure out how to incorporate that. Also, when the jail enters this, there's no integration between EDOC or anything. It won't pull, the jail's gonna have to enter things multiple times, which will take more staff time for them. They can't just enter it once when they book somebody in and it go to EDOC, it go to the public safety report system and all that. It's not gonna talk to each other at this time, although, the OCA hopes that they can work on that eventually, but it's not gonna be anytime soon.
Right. So, I think what we would want as a court is to kind of keep us in touch on what's going, how it is affecting you, and how the end result is to get all your work done in a reasonable time. And if it's not, then we got to figure out what adjustments we make to be sure we get there. And it
Now,
could be.
as you all know, there's only 2 JPs that are doing jail,
what I was getting
and they're having to rotate every week,
Yeah.
every weekend. And then if I'm out for some reason, they have to do it during the week.
And the 2 JPs are who?
Brian Richardson's from McGregor and Fernando Villarreal,
Who's retiring?
who's leaving the bench at the end of this year. Now, Brian Richardson tells me it takes him usually a minimum of 4 hours to do it now on Saturday and Sunday. Although if they have a sweep or something where they get a lot more rest, it may take him 6 hours. Now, part of his problem is it's on the weekend. He has no staff. He has to do everything by himself. He has to fill out everything by himself. Like the conditions, the emergency protective orders, whatever it might be. And if he's having to do this also, I don't know if he can do it, quite frankly.
Didn't we find some additional part-time monies to help out in that process this past budget cycle?
No, I don't
probably
think we
did
did.
for a staff
We talked
person.
about it.
Now, one of the things that I've been thinking about is maybe looking at having a couple of part-time associate judges to be in the rotation. It wasn't so bad when the JPs were all doing it and they only had to do it once every 5 weeks. But I was thinking if we can get a couple of associate that just part-time, I don't know how difficult that would be, people that, want to give up their weekends to do this. But if we can have more people instead of just Brian Richardson, because I don't know if the new JP is going to want to do it or not. And if they're not a lawyer, it's probably going to be quite a lengthy learning curve to get them started doing it. But I would feel a little better about taking off for vacation, because I feel bad about it now with Richardson and Villarreal, because they have all their court business, and I hate imposing on them as much as I try to do as little.
Do you meet with the JPs?
Pardon?
Do you meet with the JPs as a group?
No, I don't.
It seems to me a good way for y'all to be able to advise us would be for all of y'all to get together and agree on the solution, because if, you may have a great solution and we may say, yeah, that's it, and, the JPs may not see it that way, and they're experienced, and I know that they take on different duties. Like some make, death call, do all the death calls, which should be on a lot of times, people
Right.
die 7 days a week. So, there's a reason why some of them, at least some of them, don't make the jail calls. It's a trade-off.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'd be, instead of us saying, here's what you need to do, maybe that group come up and say, here's what we need help with. And we can look at that.
And I had to admit that Judge Richardson is working hard on all this.
Yeah, he is.
He's trying to find solutions, and
Yeah.
he's not willing, he's wanting to continue. He feels it's like his duty. He feels
Yeah.
like he needs to do this, and he
He's got a
wants to
passion for
continue
it.
doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid what might happen when all this goes into effect, and he's just doing it by himself on the weekends.
Commissioner?
Judge, who is qualified by law to be able to perform these duties?
Pretty much any magistrate,
Any,
and pretty much any judge is a magistrate.
okay, any judge is a magistrate, whether they be full-time, part-time, associate, whatever.
Right. JPs are magistrate, municipal judges. I think it may have to be an incorporated city. I'm not quite sure about that, or for municipal judges, but
But a municipal judge in an incorporated city theoretically could perform those duties?
I think so. I think I think the Code of Criminal Procedure pretty much says all judges are magistrates.
Right. Okay,
And don't hold me on if it has to be incorporated or not.
that's okay,
I just don't recall at the moment.
that's okay.
Right now, the staff personnel that's looking at criminal histories, I guess like through the T-close system, are those all constable and commission deputy personnel looking at that kind of information? Do you know?
Okay, I'm sorry. Start over again.
Okay, right now, currently, the way our system is, like for the T-close information that they get, are the staff personnel that are looking at that information, are those just constable and commission constable deputies that look at that information right now? And judges over to the side, I'm talking about like staff personnel.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's of course jail staff. They can pull criminal histories, that sort of thing. And anybody that has a terminal, and I don't know who all has a T-close terminal, but, and has had the training and passed the test,
And those are normally constable personnel.
okay, I'm not sure.
I'm thinking the law enforcement personnel, like they don't have that system out for just
Now what-
broad view.
Well, the sheriff's office can.
Yeah, I'm saying law enforcement
Law
personnel.
enforcement can pull, if they've had the TLETS training and certification.
Yeah, they can do it from their vehicles,
They
on
do
the
it.
Right,
computer.
right.
correct?
So looking at staff, so I guess.
Now
'cause
with
I see the
this,
value of Senate Bill 6, and I think we all know the history of why it came into being. I'm just wondering, because I was kind of like Commissioner Perry, I thought we did do part-time money, but I think that was a staff person that was supposed to maybe help with filling out forms for weekend magistrates. It was something like that.
Yeah.
So this wouldn't pertain to that kind of individual, the type of assistance that you're asking for.
no, I wouldn't think so.
Because this is somebody that is
No.
actually gonna set bail and look at this information.
And this is providing for staff to be able to access, because if you make a query into the PSRS system to be able to run the report, you have to be TLET certified. You have to take the classes and pass the test and all that if you make any kind of a query into the system. So myself and Crystal and Karina, we've all taken the training now and certified in
And so
TLETs and-
they access T-close information?
TLETS.
Can they?
No, yes. So you're saying they
Well, only-
access T-close
only-
information?
Only through the public safety report system.
No, currently, I'm saying,
Oh,
are they
no. Oh,
accessing
no.
the current
No, no, no.
T-close system? You're saying moving into the future, for Senate Bill 6, you want to allow them to have that kind of access to that information through training?
If they're going to do anything with this public safety report, where they pull a public safety report and make a query into the history, they have to be
Okay. And then
TLET
that's the
certified.
design of OCA?
But you're
That's what
saying right
OCA is
now
saying.
that the jailers are willing to do that at this point in time. They're gonna
That's
have
kind of
that.
the way it sounds, yes.
So it will be pulled when you get there to arraign somebody.
Yeah,
Now,
I like that coverage. I like that law enforcement.
Now, if you
Commission
view it,
officers are seeing that information. I just have a thing about just information, especially at this sensitivity level.
even
just
if you're,
being out.
even if you're just viewing it, you have to take a 2-hour TLETS course. If you're not entering anything, you're just viewing it, you still have to take a 2-hour and be certified in a 2-hour training.
Well, all the information on there is public information anyway, so it really
Oh,
doesn't matter.
I did, just to kind of
I
show
don't,
you.
I don't think it all is.
I believe it is. If you get arrested
Well, that's
If I get
information.
arrested.
That's right.
Uh,
If we get arrested.
Yeah,
This is just a little,
Okay.
something that's on the OCA website. It kind of shows what all has to be done in advance to prepare for all
Okay.
this, just in case you're interested.
well, we look forward to, as you get that you give us feedback on how it's looking and going and
Yes, definitely.
all those things. And I do think, in regards to Judge Villarreal retiring, there needs to be a plan on how that's gonna be filled, and it was already kind of a tight situation, what I understand, so.
Yep.
The only way I know to do that is for everybody that's doing magistration, get together. And, you know, the concept of if it does require, if it slows down the process to the extent that people are sitting in jail waiting for arraignment or whatever, and besides being hard on them, it's costly and all those things too, then consideration of hiring a few qualified people for part-time work where they might need the experience, or they want to earn a little extra money might be something to consider. But we'd want to know, first of all, after you really see it and work in it, how it works.
And like Commissioner Perry alluded to, I imagine the first few days or few weeks even are gonna be a little,
Yeah,
yeah, are gonna take, I mean, maybe once the system gets working and we get used to how it works, maybe it'll hopefully speed it up.
yeah,
I'm sure the first few days are gonna be rough.
yeah. I bet. We'll be thinking about you.
Yeah, and no doubt, we need to see how this unfolds because I'm very sensitive to the fact you guys are busy. And to add more onto you, we need to have that conversation if this becomes a burden. And it appears that it very well has the ability to be. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you know, we want to be frugal, but we want to be efficient. Sometimes they're not in the same box, they're in separate boxes, so. All right, any other questions for Judge Bain? If not, is there a motion to approve his report for recording purposes?
So moved.
second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if we can go back to item D5, purchasing monthly activity report, December 2021 to March 2022. Ken?
Before we do that,
What number we?
I
What
think
number are we?
this is really
Five.
interesting. It would-
D5.
All right, hold on just a second.
I don't think it would hurt to have a conversation with maybe the sheriff's office, the booking department, because, you know, those weekend magistrates are at the jail.
Yeah.
So if there's some type of conversation with jail personnel, then this report is covered as opposed to, we put the reporting in the pretrial department, it shuts down on Fridays.
Well,
I'm just saying as we enter the discussion.
Yeah,
If we
and
had the sheriff and booking.
I think, Major Armstrong's aware of this and so Dustin has made contact with him this morning to try to
Okay.
follow up and
Okay.
see what all they can help to do to help, and they're willing to help, it sounds like.
It's just another unfunded mandate,
Yeah, that's right.
You got it.
100%.
Morning, Ken.
Unfunded mandate.
Yeah. But this one, yeah, it is unfunded, but I see the relevance and the extreme importance of it. You know, I wouldn't know how dangerous you are before I let you out. I'm sorry, kid.
That's all right. All right, we have purchasing director here, Mr. Ken Bass.
I just came forward with a few items, some of the projects that are ongoing, rather than talking anything specific about my report, unless there's something that you have a question on.
Well, I think, when we've talked about this before, but, current conditions and getting supplies and those kind of things are challenging, and I know
Yes.
y'all are looking at every angle on that, plus, in the middle of, working on tower projects as well as, the future, and working with the, architectural firm, on new courtrooms and those things, so we know you.
And some of what I was gonna kind of
Yeah, I saw that.
cover today. we've been in ongoing conversations with Denny Bowles.
Right.
And again, the judge has sat in on some of those meetings, but Zane and myself, TJ, Dustin, have had several conversations off to the side with him. One of the things that was coming up was they needed a good set of drawings for the old downtown jail. And so and they need that to do takeoffs on whatever they're trying to plan out. So in one of our conversations, we told them if that's something that he needs, do it. So we allowed him, they hired a firm that did electronic as-builts out of a system called Revit. And Revit creates as-builts that are accurate for architectural design. So they came in and have done that, and they now have the takeoffs that they need to start their design work, but also it was the basis that they needed to create a scope of work that they can bring back to us for the contract. So anyway, I'm sharing that with you. I had this information this past week, and then I talked to Denny and said he's vetted out the last scope of work in finalizing the contract. However, he's out for the rest of the week, and we'll hopefully forward that toward the end of this week. And if we had any questions, we could contact him. So sharing that information with you, it is progressing forward. It's just kind of moving slowly. But it's just, I guess, the pitfalls of working on trying to revamp a older building. And again, what we did have wasn't really of a workable condition because we tore everything out. And so there's holes in the floor and everything that have to be contended with. And by doing this Revit system, these takeoffs, they're not going to have to take trips up here to go see a specific condition that they're having to work around. They have it. So share that. Then I talked to Jared Bierman, who's with Walker Partners and working on the, trying to put together a bid for the destruction of Paul Tyson Field. And his last words here are, we are working through the franchise utility coordination, specifically the electrical items. I met with Encore on site last week to discuss the removal of poles and potentially relocating the service that runs immediately adjacent to the field. I've been told that I have the full information on their scope and any fees this week. Regarding our demolition, we have identified all items to be removed and spent last week following up on on-site drainage system review to determine the existing system and what we can utilize for grading. We should be complete with the grading plan this week. So just wanted to say that is moving forward.
Okay.
They did give me kind of a site plan of what they're taking down. And so, again, just wanted to share that is moving forward. It's just taking some time to get all this utility information because there was a lot.
That project is more than just demolition. It's actually preparing the overall piece of property for the next step, whenever that comes, which is, there's plans for a equestrian center, things like that.
Yes. And trying to make it usable in the interim.
And that's exactly right, because they'll be using it for parking and also what they call warm-up areas for horses and those things, so.
Yes, and so just, and again, I've been asked several times about parts and pieces, and again, we're not there yet, and we'll talk to whoever gets this bid on how to deal with people that are requesting specific items from that site.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Anything else, Ken? Well, just kind of a little update on the towers. I know that Frank did his presentation, but I just wanted to correct one thing, or, well, maybe a couple of things. One is that actually the generator won't be here until mid-June to complete that project.
Okay.
I think that the main thing that we need now is the shelter, and that's supposed to be in mid-month, and so that we can run all the antennas and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't think not having the generator at this point in time really, it's the shelter that's holding anything up right now. If we get the shelter, all the antennas and everything can go up, and I think putting in the generator is just a sideline thing, so.
Now, that's the precinct 4 tower.
No, I'm sorry, that's precinct 4.
Okay, that's what we're talking about.
Precinct 3, again, I rely on Frank's report. But the other thing I wanted to share, again, I've sat in on the meetings with Tim and Frank. We've had John Strunk. I'm sorry. And we've kind of, I reviewed Tim's bid. We all kind of had some suggestions. Is that not working? I sat in on a review of Tim's bid, and we had some suggestions that we made in that process. But again, he gave you the dates. Friday is the pre-bid, and I'm thinking we'll be there. And then they're going to open the bids on April 18th, and we've already kind of decided what evaluation team is, and it's going to be me, John Strunk, Frank, and possibly, Dustin are going to review the bids and help make a decision on who should build that tower. So just wanted to share that we are involved in that process as well.
Okay.
So, that's basically what
Any questions for Ken? All right, thank you. If there's no other questions, is there a motion to approve Ken's report for recording purposes?
So move.
Second.
Motion made second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Thank you, Ken.
D6 is Maintenance of Buildings Quarterly Activity Report, March 2022. TJ?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. What you'll see in front of you is our typical report. I do have to apologize. We were unable to pull the work order history for the past quarter due to the system being down, but it ran right in line as it usually does, between 190 and about 260. Everything's going pretty good. I don't have any issues to discuss with the court. If you guys have any questions for me, I'll take them. Other than that, everything's going great.
Do you know anything about thermostats?
I'll have to apologize. The heating water system is down, so we have no heat in the courthouse for at least the next 2 hours.
It was 62 degrees in here,
It was frigid.
but,
Some people like that.
I know.
People like the cold. That's true.
Yeah. Okay, any questions for TJ? If not, is there a motion to approve TJ's very efficient and quick report? for
So
recording
moved.
purposes?
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
D8, Health Services Monthly Activity Reports, November 2021 to March 2022. Heather?
Good morning.
Morning.
As far as committee obligations, I failed to put on there the Waco-McLennan County Public Health District Board Cooperative Agreement Subcommittee that I've also serving on. Let's see, try to hit the highlights. As you can see, we've been pretty busy. If you kind of move down to the graphs and charts, you'll notice on the bar graph for active county indigent clients, we're seeing an upward trend. I try to add a couple of years on there just so you can kind of look back and see. In 2018, the numbers were pretty high, and then we kind of went down with COVID years, and now you'll see an upward tick where the department is, we're seeing a larger number of active clients. Currently, we have 292. This time I added a little bit of demographic information. I try to just throw something different in there every now and then, just to kind of give you an idea of the, prominent population that we're serving. Currently, they're U.S. citizens, predominantly white males in the 50s. And I've seen that change a little bit since I've been here. But that age range is pretty common. I think it's because those are the folks who have probably worked manual labor most of their life and do not have retirement or benefits, and now their bodies are worn out and they're unable to work. And then I think that's kind of the highlights that I wanted to hit. I have a couple of things to discuss, but are there any questions over the report in general?
Yeah, any questions anyone have? No, I don't believe, Heather.
Okay.
Good report. If there's no questions, or a motion to approve Heather's report for recording purposes.
Well, go ahead. I was going to say, I had a couple of things to discuss. I didn't know if I needed to do that before you approved.
No, you can mention it after, so.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed. Okay, go ahead, Heather.
Okay, there's an upcoming development conference that's going to be in Waco in October. It's not a conference that a health services director for the county's ever attended before, but I was kind of alerted to it by the Bell County director. And because it is Christian focused, I wanted to just kind of run it by the board or Commissioners Court just to kind of see what your thoughts were. I think it would be beneficial to our department. We're going to have the opportunity to meet and coordinate with some other organizations in the community, and it's definitely focused on our target population.
What's the name of it?
It is, and Commissioner Miller, I actually sent you this information in an email also several months back because I thought it might be something you'd be interested in as well.
Okay.
It's a Texas Christian Community Development Network through the statewide Christian Community Development, conference. So that organization, the Texas Christian Community Development Network, that's the organization.
Oh,
and so the goal is that they're working with the poor and marginalized in the community, and it's just other organizations that are county and city nonprofit. So the organizations aren't Christian based, but the actual conference itself is, it's at the church and it is Christian based.
I know we partnered with the the Women's Christian Network, the one they have here locally that we partner. It's kind of like job based.
William Christian, Job Corps,
Yeah, Christian Women Job Corps.
Okay, I know we partnered with them on occasion. I don't think the name Christian in the title automatically makes it ineligible for our attendance at a conference. I think information is key, especially, I'm gonna look over the email that you sent me. I probably thought it was an update on that other organization and really didn't. I gotta learn to drill down on your email. Like I got your email on that homeless plan, and we are gonna get together, but you're really busy.
Yes, ma'am.
But I wouldn't be opposed to it unless we attend it and then we go, oh, this is something we shouldn't do again. But I wouldn't be opposed to doing it this initial time when it comes to Waco.
Yeah, I thought it was just idea that it was here and we wouldn't have to travel, and there's money in the budget, so it wouldn't require a budget adjustment or anything because there wouldn't be very much cost associated since it's local.
Right.
Heather, I'm sorry, real quick. I read on your court considerations, the synopsis you had regarding the Texas Christian Community Development Network. And to me, it's a great opportunity to, as you said, to network with other nonprofits. If it benefits the people in our county, our citizens, then I'm all for it. I know there's some options here under the engagement opportunities that I think whatever works best is I'm comfortable with.
Okay. You think about your church community are oftentimes the ones that have interface with folks that are struggling in the community. So it's great to be able to plug into that population as well and have them familiar with the program. So then in the event they have, a member of their church needing services, they know who we are.
Okay. All right, anything else?
Yes, sir. Also, thinking about community engagement opportunities, lots of times these events are on weekends or after hours. And so I just wanted to kind of pick your brain to see what your preference was. One, how do you feel about non-exempt staff continuing to attend these types of things? And how do you prefer that they're compensated? Comp time, flex time. When Amanda was here formally, she and I had a conversation about it, and she had said time just to keep that at a minimum, because I know you guys don't like that time to build up. But I thought I'd just kind of check and see what your preference was.
Heather, if you would frame that up in an email to Anna, and she'll bring it to, we may already have a policy that covers that. If we do, that's fine, let's just use that. But if there's some complications to it and you think it's important, then the court can make that call on that.
Heather has emailed, she emailed me yesterday.
Okay.
So I
Anna said you emailed her yesterday, so she'll work on that and get with you.
Okay, and then it's not on my report, but just wanted to kind of put a bug in everybody's ear that our copier died, I think. And I looked at getting quotes when I first started because it's over 10 years old. And instead, I had them install a piece that got us a couple of more years out of it. But we've been without one since last week. And so I'm going to get with purchasing it might be one of those things that it's mid-year, and I apologize. I'm just trying to get every ounce out of it we could, but it might officially be dead.
Okay. Yeah, just get with purchasing and we'll figure something out.
Okay, and then lastly,
Are you
have
sure
an
this is
appointment.
Lastly?
Yes, I promise. I promise.
Okay.
I'm just so excited I'm not last today, so I don't want to be bumped to last again, so I'll hurry. Okay. I'm planning to work with HR tomorrow to begin looking at a department restructure. So I just want to plant that seed also. We have a staff that's scheduled to retire this year, and I've tried not to make any major changes since I've been here, but I feel like I've been here long enough to kind of get a good feel of what the department needs and kind of our future projections of what we're going to need in the future. And so just wanted to kind of let you know I'm going to be working with HR, and I plan to present some more of that at budget time.
All right, we look forward to it.
Okay, that's it, I promise.
Thank you, Heather.
You bet. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right, Dustin.
All right, D9, Information Technology Monthly Activity Reports, November 2021 to February 2022. Lisa?
Thank you, Dustin. Good morning, everyone. I just want to let you know from the top, I am remoting from home today. I'm nursing a little bit of a head cold, so hopefully I can keep a stable connection while I speak here. This is another big for IT, it always is. We're working through a number of department and IT projects, various maintenance and security tasks, and all of these things are noted in my report. There's just a few points I wanted to make with you. One, I want to say we're very excited to finally officially be operating from our Cobb's data center. It technically didn't happen. We didn't really stand the system up until March, but we are in there. We worked through some air handling and electrical issues that were resolved in January. Our team got the network equipment installed in this location online. We had the generator startup and failover tests were completed the first week of March, which allowed us to stand up our first server, test and monitor those network processes in preparation for that Isilon move. Okay. So we've been working with Dell to coordinate the technical support for this, and we are scheduled for do this move tomorrow or Thursday, possibly into next week. We haven't gotten that final confirmation. The new XRail that we purchased for our virtual environment, that will be set to be deployed soon after the Isilon move. So we're very excited about that. I also want to provide an update on our liaison meetings. Of the 46 departments that were contacted, all but 7 did select a liaison. A few offices even selected more than one. Our meetings were held in December, January, and February. We had about 50% attendance with those liaisons. We were able to keep our meetings within the 30-minute timeline. We highlighted different security updates, and we had a different educational topic in each meeting. We've received some good feedback regarding that content and partnering with those departments. We
Looks like she jumped from the meeting, y'all. Just give her just a moment perhaps to reconnect.
I didn't have any issues with her report, if we want to go ahead and approve it.
I apologize. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Lisa, we're having
Can
a
you hear
hard
me?
time understanding you. I think everyone's reviewed the report. Looks like there's a lot of things going on, including jury management deal we're looking at and many more. And I'm good with a motion to approve this report for recording purposes.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Hope you get to feeling better.
Thank you. Judge, if you don't mind, I did invite Claire to the meeting today as well. In my department head report, you had requested an update on space management or storage management with archives. So I do have her on the line if you wanted to get a quick update from her.
Okay, if she can, try to be brief. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Claire.
Morning. Basically, we just wanted to touch base with the space in this building. We've met with TJ in January, and we're told that there are funds that are allocated for the FY22 year to do some remodeling and reconfiguring of the archives building. And what we decided on was a total redo of the third floor. There's about 15 tiny rooms up there. We'd like to just knock it all out, and I want to move everything that is historical and the research and the vital records up to the third floor where the humidity is better monitored. And also it will be a research area for when Carrie has researchers coming up. It would be a monitored research area. Also, we'd like to knock out some of the walls here on the second floor. It would make our department run much smoother, much more efficient. We still have to kind of dig sometimes into nooks and crannies and little closets to get stuff. And we'd really like to get the ball rolling on having this building sort of updated to better fit our needs. We are doing really well on shredding. I did meet with a lot of the departments to discuss what should be kept, what shouldn't. And we've also found that a lot of the departments since COVID have gone to digitizing their records. So we are receiving less physical records. So that's great news. We could still use some of the rooms to be knocked out so that we have a better working space for archives though.
Okay, thank you. I would ask that y'all maybe put together a communication with all the departments to have I don't know, for lack of a better term, spring cleaning, where people have items in their offices that could be archived, and to
Yes.
put some effort in, kind of line up the departments, which offices, which week, or however you want to do it, but have it some kind of organization around it, so we can keep moving files and not clutter up offices where people are trying to take care of taxpayers and other people that come into their offices.
Yes, we will do that.
Okay, all right. Thank you for the report.
Thank you.
All right, Dustin.
All right, D10, Human Resources Monthly Activity Reports, December 2021 to March 2022. Anna?
Hi, everyone.
Howdy.
Good morning.
There are a few items I wanted to highlight in our HR report this morning that are of note. One of those areas is our workers' compensation figures. We had very good figures this period between December and March. We did a 5-year look back Thank you, Reagan. We did a 5-year look back to see the significance of the decrease, and you can see there for the period this year compared to last year, we had a 24% drop in our claims received.
Good.
And what that translates to dollar figures really is a 77% decrease in the amount of cost incurred to the county for those workers' compensation claims when we compare 5 years back for the same period. So I wanted to highlight that. I think that was significant, and I think it was more drastic this period compared to last year because of last year's events. Like during the same period, we had the ICE incident, and then COVID was still pretty raging at that moment. And so I think that's attributing to these figures that we're seeing now. Another item I wanted to highlight for us was the positive figures we're seeing for unemployment claims. And I wanted to recognize that significant drop compared to last year. We have a 33% decrease in our claims received, and then a 100% win rate. So we're receiving favorable decisions there. And I think that's a testament to the documentation we're receiving from departments. I think they're being more thorough and detailed with the support that they're providing our office. And then both of those teams I want to highlight. So our workers' compensation representative, it's Ms. Lindsay Johnson. She takes care of all our workers' compensation claims, so she compiled these figures for us. And then for unemployment, we have Ms. Colleen Willis heading those claims with the support of Elodia Vega. So I just wanted to recognize them for that great job they're doing getting me those numbers. I also wanted to highlight something I don't report on every quarter. This is periodic figures that we're seeing at the request of the court, and that's the EEO demographic data in comparison. So I've broken down the workforce, race and ethnicity percentages, and then bumped it up next to the community population as a whole. So this is all of McLennan County. I do want to note that and this is information I pull from census.gov. It's from our 2020 census. That includes all ages. So it's not a apples to apples comparison because our workforce is above 18, the age of 18. But it's a good figure or comparison to have. Outside of that,
I wanted to say something before you moved on.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I saw that, and I looked at it also in comparison to our apportionment, where we do have the voting age population percentages. And what I was impressed with, because I can't find another adjective right now for the word impressed, but what I was struck by is how closely our workforce does mirror the county population, because it's even closer if you look at that apportionment voting age population, which is what you're trying to do, look at 18 and older. And I haven't seen us at this point before. So is it our onboarding? See, I told you I could get used to that term. Is it our onboarding process? What is helping us do this well?
I think our recruiter is doing a good job, and our current recruiter and then our previous recruiter, who's now our one of our generalists, is just applying the job description basic minimum requirements and screening, applying that consistently for every position, I think is key. And then also, we're just trying to get out there advertising in for more general population. So in the form of radio, when we're selecting a population base, we're ensuring that it reaches a wide base. The same for something like a billboard. Recently, social media, we can set our target areas. So when we set our target areas for the recent Facebook ad we did, we were sure to do a radius of a location and not narrow it down any further to regions or anything like that. So I think those factors are helping us in recruiting a more diverse population. But I'm glad you noticed that, because in previous years we've reported on the demographic data. We've actually seen an improvement in diversity since the last time reported, not just compared to the general community, but also compared to ourselves and where we were previously. So, yes, good.
And I guess I want to commend our departments because I guess what I want, I guess the people that are gonna watch this taping, because the court is aware of this, but our process is just quality driven. The department heads don't necessarily know the demographics of those applicants when they get it. They just get the name and the resumes and the applications. So you all are doing a phenomenal job of finding quality applicants out there that crosses all cultural lines. And I want to commend our department heads for hiring people based on the process that you have that is qualification driven.
Thank you.
And I appreciate, I think a lot of that lends itself to them staying true to the process.
Yes.
And I know there's a lot of times that people just already had somebody in mind, and those days are gone.
Yes.
It's truly a process now.
Mm-hmm.
And you identify the person with the talent that should be hired, so appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. I think our department heads and our elected officials are also absorbing that and appreciating that as well. So I think they're seeing the payoff.
Okay. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. Thank you for highlighting that. I was hoping you would, because I had that prepared. So, in addition to those 2 points I wanted to highlight, and there are additional demographic information, just our same struggle with recruiting, our hard-to-fill positions, our jail, medical, and juvenile. Now that I see some results, initial results from our Facebook ad, I think it's positive results, so I'm going to try to apply that to our other hard-to-fill positions. And the court has asked, what you can do to support that, and you have been supportive. If you can just please continue to be supportive of our campaigns, recruitment campaigns, whether in person at career fairs or our new Frontier social media, we would appreciate that. So also because now we've reached sort of a calm or plateau with our COVID activity, I thought it'd be a good time to review or just provide a summary of the activity that we've seen, especially with this last spurt we saw in January. The court was supportive and approved our ability to use thumbs up compliance for rapid COVID testing just as another resource. We actually conducted or referred folks for 19 tests through thumbs up, so that was lower than what we initially projected. So I just wanted to let the court know we did come in below the estimated cost there. HR also hosted 29 on-site testing clinics with the assistance of Gel Medical, who had challenges of their own, so I really appreciated their assistance with that. Also, HR hosted 7 vaccine clinics on site with the help of with the support of the health district and also with the help of health services and Heather providing her facility as well. We just want to provide that summary, and now that we're at a plateau, we can move forward with more program development. We're in the middle of our evaluation season, so that'll be our next month and our next challenge, and then hopefully this summer expanding our internship program, and then of course finishing compiling our compensation data for this next summer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Really good work on, I think we made great improvements on worker comp claims and also unemployment claims. And a lot of that, just as you said, is especially unemployment claims, has to do with the proper review process and those things, but also the effort around challenging those claims when they're not right. And I don't know whether we were falling short before that or we're stepped up, but nevertheless, the bottom line does make a difference. And, where I think I figured out annualized about a $70,000 savings on one of those.
It was workers' compensation.
Yeah, and then another significant savings on the others. And so we don't need to be wasting taxpayer money by not really tending to that issue that's out there all the time. But anyhow, good work.
One question quickly. Under the Deer Oaks EAP, the number of hits, is that reflective of people who actually use those services or just explored those services?
So those are website hits related to the topics on the
Right.
right there that you're seeing.
But-
So
but-
they either researched a resource or explored that
But
topic.
we don't have numbers on who actually used those services. These are just people who went to that site.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Website hits. Mhm.
Okay.
And I might be overlooking this. Is our turnover rate in here? Doesn't it typically stick around 1.5%, 2%, somewhere in there?
I don't have the percentage. I have the figures on here. That's like the hires versus the separations, but I didn't calculate the actual percentage, but I can provide that for you in an email if you'd like.
If you don't mind.
Okay.
I want to see if it's holding to the trend it normally does.
I recently did a 5-year look back as well, and that for the purpose of the incentive pay program. And so I can send you that 5-year look back so you can see that trend as
You know,
well.
and that'd be better than just the quarter. So
Right.
the 5-year would be great.
Okay. All right, if there's no other questions, or a motion to approve the report for recording purposes.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is a report on special court programs under Health Court Services. Judge Hodges has turned in under two different areas here on reports. The first one is mental health and guardianships and probate stats, and the other one is for the mental health court and annual activity report. They're fairly straightforward reports. Judge Hodges, do you have any additions or anything you want to point out in these?
Evidently not.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve those reports for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right.
And then Judge D12 is Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service Monthly Activity Report, October 2021 to February 2022.
Okay.
And we won't have anybody joining us today.
All right, is there a motion to approve those for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion made second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
All right, Judge, that completes the report, and we have just a few action items left, plus an ARPA discussion.
Okay, on, under budget amendments, under E1 regarding FY 22 budget, F1A is maintenance of buildings. Francis?
Yes,
Morning.
sir. Good morning. So there's just one budget amendment in the general fund for maintenance of buildings. They're requesting to move within their department into furniture and equipment in order to purchase a monitor for their conference room.
Okay. Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. All right, and then, Dustin, if, unless you have another plan, I'd like to take a 5-minute break and then we'll go into ARPA discussions.
Sounds good.
All right. It is 10:27, we'll take a 5-minute break. court back into session. It's 10:34. Going to items F under grants and proposals. This is in regards to U.S. Department of Treasury, Coronavirus Local Fund, Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, AKA ARPA. So Dustin, you want to kind of frame up the discussion?
Yes, sir. And Judge, I will share my screen if that's okay to begin with. Just wanted to give the court a quick update on where we are. Can y'all see my screen okay?
Yes.
Well, I think the wrong one is sharing. Let me stop. Hold on one second.
We can see the wrong one perfectly.
All right. Well, maybe this will be the right one. You should see my spreadsheet now. As a reminder, all those in green are requests from nonprofits that we have approved. The next level, Creative Waco, the Hippodrome, and McLennan County Investment Funds are ones that we have discussed and have deferred action on those until later. The next two, the Isaiah 117 House and Lee Lockwood Library and Museum, are ones we've mentioned in court. And just as a reminder, our deadline for nonprofits to submit is this Thursday. Then we have 4 new requests that have come in since last meeting. United Way is requesting funds for lost revenue totaling $357,000. CASA is requesting funds in the amount of $71,405. The Community Cancer Association is requesting funds totaling $38,000, and the ARC is requesting funds to help with capital expenditures that they had to pull from their reserves in the amount of $484,000. I sent all those to the members of the court individually yesterday, so you should have all those, but if we need any more detail from them as we move forward, we can certainly do that.
Okay.
Then just as a, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, you go ahead. I see what you're fixing to do, so thank you.
Just a quick overview of where we sit right now. And as a reminder, as we've talked about each court session, these numbers that we've plugged in for non-county projects and county projects is just totally just plugged in, making best guesstimates. That's a court decision on these. These numbers can be adjusted at any time. We just did it as placeholders to get the discussion started. So we started out with our 49.8 million. Our lost revenue portion is 10 million, and we've identified a few projects that are eligible there. As the court remembers, we approved the non-501c3 volunteer fire departments out of this pot. We also think the Paul Tyson demo can fit here, as well as work inside the downtown jail renovation. For the non-county projects, we had plugged in 20 million. You'll see here a list of all the nonprofits we've approved to date, which totals right at 6.2 million. We've also plugged in $10 million here for water infrastructure. And the first project out of that bucket is the Tawakona Creek watershed study. Dropping over to the county projects, we had put the 20 million for the non-county. That left 19.8 for county projects. We have the 5 million in potential HVAC upgrades. That includes the air purification in some of our facilities. Also think we can use some funds for the downtown jail in terms of HVAC and different types of antimicrobial surfaces things. We've identified, you just plugged in 5 million for right now. This 310,000 is the cleaning of the courthouse, the base rental, the PPE that was purchased, administrative costs that the grant covers. And then we've also plugged 2.5 million in for low water crossings and culverts. So all in all, after all that's allocated with the $10 million bucket here and these projects, that still leaves roughly 10.7 million that the court can allocate to projects. And so, Judge, with that, I guess now would be a good time to discuss the TSTC project, which is on as F1A1.
Yeah, the TSTC project is the industrial training site or facility that would be located in the industrial area, primarily along off Bagby and Gateway. The specific spot hasn't been picked yet. All that property belongs to Waco Industrial Foundation, And there are some sites to be considered that they're working on right now that will bring forward it when that decision's made. The first estimated cost of the overall project was about $23 million with TSTC putting in $1 million. What we're asking now is for, I'd say we being the county and the city, to get real specific about what the project is gonna look like, the scope, the square feet, and then from that standpoint, once we agree on what it ought to look like and working with TSTC, what they want and what, we'll go along with, then a design firm will be selected to design it and then figure out what the estimated cost to be and what the real cost to be. I've got a feeling it'll be much or less than what the initial numbers that we put out there. I don't know how much until we get a little further. I want to make a more educated guess. I need to have more information. But Dustin, there is, in looking at the final rule with Treasury Department, how would this fit? Is ARPA a consideration for that expenditure?
It is now, and early in the interim guidance, it was not. It did not appear to be eligible. But when the final rule came out, Treasury has stated that job training centers are eligible if, of course, they meet other factors. And this is something we've sent to Danny at BKD, and generally, as he said, on the face, it appears to be eligible, but they, of course, have questions and need more information. So we really wanted to bring it to court to see if that's something we should pursue under the ARPA funds, or if the court is thinking about funding it in a different way.
And you can't sell bonds. You can't do COs to fund economic development. Dustin, you might tell us what Norton Rose said about that.
Yes, that's correct. And Judge Mike's on as well. He knows much more about that than I do. But in talking with Mark McCliney and others, economic development projects like that would have to go to a vote. So we couldn't do a certificate of obligation like we've done for our debt these past few summers.
So just a concept to consider is if we did choose to do that, whatever amount it was, and you wouldn't sell, so if you couldn't sell bonds to fund that without going to the voters, then what you would do is, if that money's moved, then you would sell bonds to do the courthouse renovations, which you could do COs to cover that. That's an option that we've got out there to choose from to fund it. So, I guess the good news is that it would qualify for coverage, and we wouldn't have to go into a 15, 20-year debt service on that. But it reduces the, wait a minute, Mike, but it reduces the amount of money that you've got in the fund to do other county projects. Go ahead, Mike.
Right, and it essentially would, at this level, we would probably have to cut off the remainder of the nonprofits, because to get that in there and not adversely affect the water fund, which is very important, we would probably have to I don't know, Dustin, I don't think there would be enough to cover everything else, all the other requests we have.
Well, going back to the spreadsheet with the budget spreadsheet, there's 10.7 million now, and that's assuming no further is allocated for nonprofits and nothing more than the 10 million for water infrastructure. At the end of the day, the HVAC projection we have and what we can use inside the downtown jail, those two $5 million projects each, those could be adjusted. But we won't have hard numbers on those for quite some time, I would imagine.
So if we started trying to determine what those actual numbers would be, what do we need to do we're gonna have to have that information anyway. It'd be ideal to have it while we're talking about, allocation of ARPA money.
I think, TJ had put some projections together on the HVAC upgrades. We know the air purification costs, it's basically $1 a square foot. And we know the locations we've identified for it. In terms of the upgrades, it's really as far as we want to go. We looked at the downtown jail. We looked at conditioning the hallways in the courthouse, which they're not conditioned at this time. And we can work with TJ and try to firm those numbers up. On the downtown jail piece, that's going to be something I'm afraid we're not going to have for a while, just because we have to get Brinkley Sargent in here, and then we'll have to identify those finishes and the HVAC. So that number was truly just just trying to get a starting point.
Okay.
Before we get into the training center too much, do we know who all the players are in the game? Have we identified all the players as far as funding? Who's willing to step up to support this, and how much?
The city and county, and TSTC.
Right.
As far as the actual construction of the building.
Structure.
The ongoing operation will be TSTC, and they will bring in different companies that needs upskill training for their people. And they would be part of, and that would be the ongoing cost that we wouldn't be involved in. Once we do our deal, we're out.
Do we know the level of commitment from TSTC as far as the building itself? So now all we have to determine is our level, and do we know the city's level of commitment?
Well, the city council and the commissioners court they both heard the presentation, had a positive reaction, but not a vote yet, because we got to get it done. From what I understand, the city council was all the way across with unanimous support. It appeared that's what it was here. TSTC would put in $1 million up front, and then they would pick up all the ongoing cost, which is about $1 million a year, from what they came up with. So over the life of a bond or something, which the city is not going to use ARPA money. They've got to use debt. And so, but that doesn't mean we have to. We have an option they don't have. And so we can choose to go the different routes on how we want to do it. But just want to bring up the opportunity that we could use ARPA money. It does qualify.
Sure.
And the way that they're using debt is that TSTC is actually taking on the debt, and then they're paying TSTC back.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, but I mean, we don't know what our portion will be till we know what everybody else's commitment will be. We know
right
TSTC,
now,
we don't know.
10 million. They're requesting 10 million.
Well, here's what it is. It's it's 23 million, with $1 million being paid by
down to 22
by TSTC. Then each the city and the county are asked to put in $1 million apiece, day one, and then 10 million over time, or up front. We can do it either way. We can go into a long-term payback, but the maximum is 10 million for us, plus the 1 million that we put in the initial funding. And so I think it could be less than that, but.
Right. But if we commit ARPA, we really need to do it up front, and it needs to be finished. There's a drop dead date there.
Yeah.
That we can't say we're gonna put in it for the next 10 years or something. So if we're using ARPA funding.
All of our commitment would be put in as the building's being constructed, and which is 18 months, and then we're done. And that's just kind of how I'm seeing it today. But it would be way ahead of the schedule of 2026 with all these projects have to be done. That's one good thing about using ARPA is that it is a project that's already fixing it. It's gonna be going to design phase. They're gonna design it like somewhere around 3 other buildings that they've already built, different sizes, and so wherever they end up, then they're a long way down the road on it.
Yeah, they have training centers at some of the other campuses.
They've got 3, yeah.
Well, there are also other counties that have already done this, that they have guides to go off of also. Some,
Right.
We've seen some pictures of those.
Right.
My last question would be, and certainly I'm sure it's already been explored, there are no current facilities in that area that could be renovated at a lesser cost.
There's not, and they looked at that, and there is a huge shortage of warehouse and buildings that are available for somebody to buy. It's everything is owned, is being utilized, it's out there, and new ones are being built. You know, it's been announced, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I just wanted to put that out there as we start this discussion, so I guess, now, Tom, it'd be a good time, or Dustin, is this the order we should go into, for Tom to start talking about the water projects and the priorities on those?
Yes, sir. I think that's good. And then just if we get some direction from the court, if y'all would like us to just kind of finalize that eligibility determination with BKD, we can, if ARPA might be a possibility for the TSTC Training Center.
Yeah. And while Tom's passing out some information, I would point out that we really, I wouldn't, on the nonprofits, I don't say that we drop them off. I would say that they go in a priority list that could or may not be funded, depending on how much money is available. At the end of these, I think we want to keep these qualified entities that could receive money still on the list in case things drop out or bids come in lower, which I doubt that's gonna happen, but that we could automatically go to those nonprofits to kind of clean up that balance. And so nothing really drops off as long as they're qualified. They just, they become a priority, they have significant priority.
Just basically a placeholder till we determine.
Placeholder, that's a good point. A placeholder is a good term for it, yeah. Okay, Tom?
Thank you, Judge, Commissioners, good to be here. Apologize, I've kind of got, she's not looking at me, a little bit of a head cold.
Oh, okay.
So, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do that right, like that, okay. Last time on the 2nd of March, we went through and looked at a proposal to how to allocate funds based on the amount of ARPA funds that the county wants to dedicate first to infrastructure projects, the total amount. And it looks like at this point, we're looking at $10 million. And then we went through if you recall, a spreadsheet.
We're considering 10 million.
Considering 10 million.
Yeah, because it can be
We're
up
using
or
it-
down.
Right.
Yeah,
We're using 10 million as our placeholder. So,
right, perfect.
And then we showed how we could use the number of requests as an indication of priority. So the county would be fair and equitable in its distribution of funds, but would start that process by dedicating, setting aside, if you will, a certain amount for arsenic-related projects. And what we looked at last time as a set aside, and again, it's draft, it's all dependent on the court as to what that final number would be. But we looked at setting aside 2.2 million for arsenic-related projects. And then went through the process of showing how, after you've set that aside out of the proposed 10 million, how the other types of projects would be affected or would be allocated, the amounts they would have available based on our methodology there. Let me also interject that I did get the request this morning for Old Springfield Road, Commissioner. And according to the methodology we looked at last time, we would add that to the water connection group. We had 2 last time, and we would now have 3, of course. And we've got, let me see if I can get this to, last time we would, with just 2, it would have been allocated at just over 2 million, 2.15. And now if we add a 3rd request in that category, the allocation, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the dollars remaining. I apologize. The water connections last time for 2 would be at 861,000. And if we add another water connection type project, then that would take us to 3. That would be 21% is their percentage of the requests that come in under water connections. So the amount funded goes up 1.2 million. But let me work on those numbers, make sure I haven't made any errors, at least haven't been QA'd, as we say. So I'll double check those and make sure. But I did get that. We are working on it.
Okay.
What I wanted to bring to the court today is a form I just passed out. And again, that should have been marked draft. This is all subject to your review and input. But in listening to the court and to the judge, it's apparent that the arsenic projects are a priority for the county's ARPA funding. And so this document that I passed out does a couple of things. One, it gives us a number to work, gives me a number to work with. All these numbers can be changed at court's direction, but it gives me a number to work with for the water-related infrastructure projects as a whole, and then the amount that the court wants me to set aside for arsenic-related projects, okay? We've got a lot of work to do in terms of sorting out these types of projects, these 3 projects. You know, there's 3 areas, if you remember the big spreadsheet. We've got to go through and find out quite a bit of information that we currently don't have about those projects. What type of funding have they requested, and do they have a commitment for funding from the Water Development Board or other sources? So we need to know that. This document says that we would use that allocation method, but this would be a set aside for arsenic-related projects. Then we would allocate that amount of set aside by meter, okay, by the number of meters in those areas, okay? And use that as the final allocation, but there's a list of stipulations, caveats, if you will, to be eligible to be, that would relate to eligibility of these projects. And these are the ones that now these are draft, so if you have any comments, any concerns, any suggestions, please let me know. But
can you share that?
Yes, I have passed this out to the court, Mike, and I will
Can you
also
share
send
it?
it electronically.
I think he was wanting to know if you could share it on your screen.
Oh, how do I do that?
I don't know.
Well, let's see. I I'm not set up to share, but.
Okay, don't worry about it. Just
If we can scan it, I can share my screen or.
I gave it to Reagan, and so she's
Okay.
gonna
Okay.
run up and scan it.
Yeah, this is, I probably need some wordsmithing. You know, every engineer thinks he's a lawyer, but usually don't do a very good job of it. But what I've tried to do is say, you know, this is the amount of funding, here's the amount set aside for arsenic. These projects are eligible if they can show they meet these stipulations and conditions. And those are providing us, number one, you know, at the lower part of the page, providing us with the information we need to do due diligence to make sure the use of ARPA funds is appropriate, is eligible, et cetera. And that starts with looking at some information about the project, a preliminary engineering report. By the way, if they go through Water Development Board, they have to do that anyway, so they'll provide that. Or a detailed statement of the project itself. I need something that breaks these projects down into components and gives us dollar amounts and stipulates the cost basis year, the dollar year that the engineer is using. There's going to be a big difference between a 2020 estimate of cost and a 2022 estimate of cost. So those things need to be considered. Number 3, or D down there is, oh, C, excuse me, no, I wanted to do C. We do need a schedule that would include the funding commitment, whether it's from the Water Development Board and/or others. And then, you know, a schedule that is broken down into components, so we have a good feel for whether or not they'll make the deadlines imposed by ARPA, by the Treasury. D is use of other sources of funds. E is funding or that funding used or anticipated for use. We need some documentation, okay, to when that funding would be available. There's some upfront requirements by the Water Development Board, and we need to monitor those to look at the schedule in terms of completing the project and complying with the Treasury Department's regulations. So E and F are pretty much related. The other, that's the background we need, I think, for me to do the due diligence on these projects. We'll call in the engineers and sit down and talk to them and verify all this as well. So we can come to the court and tell them, you know, we have this level of confidence in what we're getting. The second thing, number 2 there, I added the use of ARPA funds. I think this is important, that the ARPA funds will benefit and reduce the per meter cost to customers and/or offset or delay rate increases. Did I get that pretty close to what you were thinking?
An example, we made a call yesterday, Tom was in the office, and to Fred Kubica, who's the, if he's not the president, he was the president of the EOL Water Supply that is working with Axtell Water Supply. They're way ahead of everybody. Seems like they've got an active engineer. They've already made application to the Water Development Board in case we didn't provide any, or no one else provided any funding. They got EPA says they have to meet that standard. He said that the cost on, when you add debt service back to the meter cost to get all these things done, that include not only for them, it was a blending plant to be able to dilute the water that has arsenic in it with treated water to get parts per billion or whichever one, in million or whatever it is. down to a proper level, that it would take a $35 cost, a monthly cost of a meter to right at $90, $85 to $90. And so it's a significant punitive solution for the people on the meters out there and all that have arsenic, so.
And the third item relates to that as well, Judge. The use of funds will be directed to offset costs to McLennan County residents in their water bills, essentially, so. And then the final stipulation or condition is that these funds, and Mike will, I'm sure, cover this in the agreements, but that the funds will be used for water-related infrastructure projects approved by the court. So, those were the stipulations that I came up with, kind of the caveats in talking to the judge and commissioners about these projects. If I need to add others, I can do that.
Right. And I think this is time for the court to look at, is there any other stipulation that we want in this? And the idea is to, we get out, if we kind of get comfortable with stipulations, then we can go ahead and start allocating money. As he's working on getting the answers to all this, we can start allocating money in our process of discussion to what's needed to make an impact.
This is good, because once this information is provided, we're gonna be able, or I feel we're gonna be able to make a real good decision on the use of the funds. Something that I wanted, before we get too far into this, the 2.2 million is for arsenic? Is that the figure you shared?
That's the figure I shared.
I think, did we not have that figure set when we thought we were only putting 5 million in to the arsenic related issue, and then we bumped it to 10? Should we bump up?
That is 44% of 5 million, so you could take 44% of 10 million.
10.
Which I did.
4.4.
Somewhere.
So just go to,
4.4.
Would we be comfortable increasing that 2.2 to 4.4, since that's it seems that's our primary focus?
It's up to the court. I agree that's our number one.
Yeah.
We identified it as our number one priority in infrastructure.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, if that's.
Yeah. As the base amount?
Yes, ma'am.
As a base amount, yeah. And that number can be tweaked up or down, depending upon the answers we get right here.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And Tom, this I think will provide answer to the question that I asked you, as far as the arsenic, the water supply corporations that need help with the arsenic, to provide us with information as far as how many of them have already been fully approved for funding, how many of them have no funding, how many of them have partial funding, but it's still going to cost X number of dollars to complete the project. I have an interest in knowing that, and I think this will supply it.
And when he calls that meeting of all those engineers, we'll get that information. Like we know.
Tom, how many were there that you said had arsenic issues?
There are 3 groups, Mike, and going back to the spreadsheet.
Spreadsheet right here.
So it's the Leroy Tours Group, Axtell Prairie Hill Water Supply Corporation.
EOL's in that group, I think.
EOL,
Yeah.
yes.
Need to add that
Axtell
in.
EOL.
Yeah.
And City of Riesel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you didn't forget them this time.
I'm sorry, Mike, I didn't hear you.
You didn't want to hear me?
Oh, okay.
So you're saying there's three groups?
Groups, areas, groups.
Yeah, groups, they're grouped, although there are some individuals, obviously. Leroy Tours, Gerald is one, the Axtell Prairie Hill, and City of Riesel. And where was EOL?
It's in that
EOL's with
Axtell
Axtell.
group.
It is the Axtell?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just missed out in there. It
Okay,
needs to be
it's
in.
Axtell, EOL, Prairie Hill.
Yeah, well, they're 2 different water supply corporations, but they work together and,
Yeah, the county plan that we did identifies these three areas. With the city of Riesel is MS and RMS are in there with that group.
right,
Remember
that's
that?
Myers Settlement,
Myers Settlement.
and, what's the other one?
Well, RMS doesn't really exist anymore. It's just Meyer Settlement and the city. But you have to add Meyer Settlement's
If they have arsenic.
meters in with the cities because the city is providing Meyer Settlement with water.
Okay,
And so it's Axtell, EOL, and another group, Axtell, EOL, Moore, and Prairie Hill. And then Leroy Tours,
and then, just
Gerald.
And so, one example of something we have to deal with too is like Prairie Hill has water in both McLennan County and Hill County. And so, and it maybe even Limestone, I forget how far it goes over east. But we would only provide a reimbursement of the meters that are in McLennan County.
Judge, on our spreadsheet, I did check on that, on the number of meters for Prairie Hill. Looks like they've got a total of 707, and in McLennan County that they have 425.
Okay.
Some of those probably need to be verified as well, and we'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
So, that's the start. So, if we're talking about, what did we say, 4.4? That's just that number. So what does it come out of? So what does the 4.4, the increase come out of? It comes out of the other.
10.
Out of the 10.
Total 10.
Yes.
So,
I guess, Judge,
44% of 10 million.
yeah,
if the court is good with using the 44% of the total for water infrastructure, then it's set. I can,
Yeah.
anytime do that.
and so I think what the court's saying is, for now, that sounds like a good number, and
Good number.
but we are open for reason, for a good reason, if we have to adjust it one way or the other to make everything fit. But it is a priority.
That's what I had for you this morning.
So question in just
This is good.
ballpark, how long are you gonna give them to get this information and get back to you?
A reasonable amount of time, considering we really need to expedite this. We need to
We
get the
do.
money passed
sure
out.
do.
Right. That's
And,
kind
get
of where
them
I'm
on the
headed
road.
with this, is can
Well, we will coordinate the meeting out of our office, and that'll be as quick as possible. So what we do is get the key players and find out how quick they can meet.
Okay.
And then Cody will get we've had numerous meetings, so she's got all the contact information. She'll get that out. We'll try to set it as soon as possible. In preparation for that meeting, we'll tell them what we're gonna be asking. And so like EOL, they probably have all the information already. And so it's just
Right.
we know who they're.
Same with Riesel. Riesel has their actual funding. It's just from the Texas Water Development Board. It's just not gonna be enough now that we found out that alluvial water isn't as plentiful as we thought.
Right.
But Tom, you're saying some of these already have engineers in place but you're not sure that all of them do, or you're saying all of them have engineers in place that will be able to answer these questions that you've asked?
I'd be more comfortable with saying that, I think they all do, but, I'm
I think
subject to finding out otherwise.
because I've been involved in it in the voting in water supply corporations, you have to have a designated engineer. And so, because I remember we interviewed engineers, this is 25 years ago, but I think the rules are the same, because we had to get somebody named. And And so we interviewed and selected one, and then we turned the paperwork in. Because TSTC and all of the regulatory agencies want to know who to contact on engineering issues. So,
Having an engineer on record doesn't necessarily mean they've done any work on the project.
right, but the ones on arsenic have, because they're all sitting there wondering if EPA is going to shut them down, so
Right.
they've been trying to work on
And those
solutions.
are the ones we're concerned with.
Right, and they've been coming to our meetings, you know,
Good, good. Well, it'd be great if we could get off square one with them. Because I know they're anxious also.
Right.
I'm not sure whether LTG has gotten a commitment from the Water Development Board or not. I think they were still trying to decide, Mike, you may know better, still trying to decide on a treatment method
Yeah.
for dilution
Yeah.
with Waco water. So,
Right, we'll find that out.
but they do have an engineer.
Yeah.
That counts.
Yeah. We do have a judge, we do have a meeting on April the 11th that your office arranged
Right.
with engineers throughout the county to look at the plumbing plan, recall? Those engineers will overlap, I think, with these, so we could have a meeting prior to or after that meeting on the plumbing plan with the group on our study.
That's April
11.
11th, okay, good. All right, good deal.
Okay.
All right, what else on ARPA? Dustin, is there anything else?
Judge, we do have under F1B, an American Rescue Plan budget adjustment that Francis can discuss. And then we have the TSTC Act item on for discussion and/or action. We really don't, we could defer it, we could pull it but I do think if we had some direction from the court, do y'all want us to pursue its eligibility with BKD to get 100% confirmation that it is eligible?
On which project again, I'm sorry?
On the TSTC, just to get,
Yes.
I would like,
yep. The answer is yes.
Okay.
And I would make a motion that we defer action on TSTC until we get further information.
second,
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, pass. Okay, Francis.
Yes, so under F1B is a budget amendment, budget adjustment for ARP. So the amounts that you see that we're adjusting each category by, these are items that you have either entered into agreements already, you've approved them, or we've already expended funds. So just, starting there at the top, you'll see that we have right over 33.5 million unallocated. And as Dustin covered earlier, of course, you have plans for this money. You've kind of tentatively put it into buckets, but this is what's actually been approved. So under Category 1, Public Health, we're increasing 4 of the line items for expenditures, just ongoing operating expenditures. Those are court cleaning, PPE, overtime for nurses that have been working the COVID testing clinics here at the county, and then also base rental cost. And then we're also increasing the project line for the air purification project with Active Pure by that $362,000. And that number is specifically for Juvenile, Highway 6, and Jack Harwell. So that purchase order has already been issued for that project. Going down to Category 2, we're increasing multiple lines for contracts that you've entered into with Trinity Sports, Greater Waco Sports Commission, various volunteer fire departments that are 501c3s, and Mills on Wheels. Under Category 5, we've increased the line item for the Tawakona Creek, the baseline water survey by $30,000. Category 6, we'd already allocated $10 million to the revenue replacement category, but we're allocating specifically to the volunteer fire departments that are not 501c3s. So you'll see those 5 listed there. And then under the category for administrative expenses, you'll see the additional amount of $25,000 for the additional contract with Lockwood, Andrews, and Newman. And so that shows down there at the bottom, after this amendment, we will have approved and actually allocated through the budget, right under $17 million. And that includes that 10 million revenue replacement category.
Okay, any questions? All right. Is there a motion to approve the budget adjustments?
So moved. Second.
All right, have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
And Judge, we do need to go back to item D12 and under the reports, county auditor. There, D12A is monthly financial report and B is a financial and budget update.
Okay,
And so, 12A is our monthly report through the month of December. It just needs to be, I think, accepted for recording today. I had planned on doing a financial budget update through today, but just unfortunately, I need to defer that until the next agenda.
okay, is there a motion to defer?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Do we need to accept this other report, though? Don't we?
And then
12A,
Yes, yes, sir.
move to approve 12A, D12A.
Second.
All right, have a motion second, any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass. Justin, anything else?
Judge, that should be all the action items today.
All right, everybody can take a day off, full pay. All right, we, if there's not anything else, we stand adjourned.
Recording stopped.